Hey everybody. So I thought that today we'd look at doing crystal gridding and how to create a crystal grid that will support you through your meditation space or through the shifts, or even just in your bedroom. So for myself, I would have a crystal grid in my bedroom, I would have one in my workspace, and often have one around the house. The point of having a crystal grid is it's a way of creating a container of energy that holds the intention for that space. So the crystal grid in my bedroom, I will put a stone in each corner of my bedroom and connect them up, and then everything contained within that space holds the same intention. So I can create a crystal grid in my bedroom for a restful sleep, or a crystal grid in my workspace to hold the highest spiritual vibration for healing to occur, or a crystal grid around the outside of the property to contain my sacred space and keep the energy of the neighbours at bay. So today we're going to create a crystal grid for Millicent. This is Millicent the dragon. So she's going to sit there. Don't show your bottom. Turn yourself around. Here we go. And be our person that we're creating a grid for, or dragon that we're creating a grid for. So you can use any stone at all to create a grid. Normally we create a grid with 4 stones. If the shape of a property was a different shape, then maybe we might use more. But for the purpose of creating your grid for the shifts or for meditation space, then we'd go with 4, 1 for each direction, 1 for each element, cycles of life, etc. So I've just brought together some of our most basic options, but you can use any type of crystal that holds the vibration that you want to have in your space. So the first ones that I would normally use are the lodestones. So lodestones look a little bit like hematite, but they have tiny little wee scar marks on them, so they look slightly different, and they are naturally magnetic, which means that when we place them in a grid, they will create a magnetic force field around them better than any other stone. Now you can place the stones together and program them that way. Today we're just going to place them down like this, and we're going to touch our pendulum to each crystal to recognize it and to pay homage to it, and then back to the first one, and we're going to say to the pendulum, can you please connect these stones in a grid work? And as I'm doing that, I'm placing the intention of what I want these stones to do for me within the grid. And so the pendulum's going to go round in a circle, and when that's complete, it's going to go back to the yes answer, which is towards and away from me. Okay, so that's the foundation of Millicent's grid. Okay, now what I've chosen next for her is some selenite rods. So the selenite rods, honestly, from a money point of view, they're good bang for buck, and they will clear and they will balance energy. They will elevate the space, which is what we want. Selenite is made up of tiny little rods of crystal, or little tubes. So if it gets wet and water gets inside the tubes, then the temperature changes, the water expands, your crystal breaks. So keep them dry. So because we want the energy to come in, we want this to pull energy in towards the grid and create more energy within the space. We're going to face these in towards her, right? And again, we're going to pick our pendulum up and we're going to touch to each one and come back here, and then we're going to say, please connect the 4 selenites to each other, creating a force field around the outside. You do that. You're starting to feel that energy, Millicent? I bet you are. There we go. Okay, so now what we want is we want to create a connection between each lodestone and the selenite that it's working with. So we're going to say, please connect. Can you connect the energy of each of these lodestones to the selenite? And it says yes, and please connect. It's highly unlikely that the answer to that would be no, but if it is, you may find that one of the selenites would be in the wrong place and it wants to work with a different lodestone. Virtually never happens, but just in case. Let's go back to yes. Okay, so I've got 4 other options for this grid. We've got little clear quartzes. The clear quartzes always have a point on them if they're not tumbled. So I can choose to direct energy out of the grid, or I can choose to direct more energy into the grid, which, because of the point, the energy comes through the clear quartz, intensifies as it goes through the point, and we get a far more intense energy. Clear quartz is also really good at intensifying energy. So even these tiny ones, we're going to point them again, we're going to put the points of them against the end of the selenites, and I'm asking which point they want to go to, because having told you that, they've now been invited to be difficult. I'm going to put those there, and again we're just going to go through our process. I always come back to the one that I started with, so that this gap is actually sealed. If I didn't and I just did all 4, then this gap would be left open, which we don't want. So say please connect the 4 clear quartzes, and because they've already been programmed, they do themselves quickly, which is nice of them. And then we say, can you connect the clear quartzes to the selenites and the lodestones? It says yes, please connect. So that's connecting this clear quartz to this selenite to this lodestone. Okay. I'm now starting to feel the dragon magic come in, which isn't part of this process, but there we go. Okay, so now we've got the option of adding in our rose quartzes to bring in love, because we want Millicent to have lots of love and scrumminess. And we've got some sodalite. So our sodalites dispel negativity. They're also communication stones because they're blue, but more importantly, they are very good at dispelling negativity. Because some people are scared of dragons, we want Millicent to have. And we've got our citrines. So citrines are the abundance crystal. They can also, the points can be used for clearing period pain, but in tumbled form, they are the abundance crystal. Now, natural citrine is actually a lot lighter. It looks almost like a slightly yellowed clear quartz. These are actually bits of amethyst that have been put into an oven and turned into citrine. The only difference between citrine and amethyst is the temperature of the earth in which they're formed. There isn't enough citrine on the planet, so the people who mine the crystals take some of the amethyst and turn it into citrine. It still behaves like citrine, it's just a coarser energy. These stones here are probably around a couple of dollars each. If they were natural citrine, you'd be looking at closer to $40 to $50. So to get enough citrine at an affordable level for everybody, they help it along a little. It's your choice whether that bothers you or not. These will still work as an abundance crystal. So for myself, I think I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, okay, I want the abundance to be in the middle with Millicent. So I'm going to put them in here. And I'm just going to do this quickly. Oops, sorry Millicent. And can you connect? And connect it the other way as well. We're going to speed this up and just ask them to do both processes. Now, I'm running out of space on the table, so sometimes I might extend it out this way, but for this one I'm actually going to put the quarter points. And so we're going to give her the little quarter points here like that as well. Okay, I'll connect her up later and give her some time. So assuming that everybody was connected, she's now in a nice container of that energy, and as she anchors that energy in, it will grow. So the crystals will pull the energy in for her, but she can also build that energy up herself over time. So if we look at the grid within the tent here, I've got clear quartzes, rose quartzes, selenites and garnets in the corner, and every time I do sacred work in this space, or every time Katie does sacred work in this process, in this tent, that energy is contained and is allowed to grow. It supports us in our work. Do you need a crystal grid to do the work? No, you don't. Will it support you to make the work easier and more effective? Absolutely. You can start with a relatively basic grid and add to it over time. In preparation for the shifts, we have bought ourselves these boxes that are they're just bamboo boxes from Kmart or the warehouse, which are for putting cutlery in drawers, but it allows us to put a far more complicated grid out. And we've got 4 of these boxes, 1 for each corner, and when the shift is about to start, we can put one of these down on each corner. We don't have to lay down 50 different rocks, which in the middle of the night is tiresome. So the boxes aren't expensive, and they're a nice option because it means we can add in symbols, we can add in water or elements, we can add in intentions for each direction, and they hold our grids in sacred space for the time between the grids. So I kind of like that, and I don't have to re-pendulum it every time because they will hold that intention for me between the grids, between the shifts. So I hope that helps. I'm quite happy to program the crystals for you. If you buy a pre-made grid from me, then obviously I'm going to clear the crystals, program them for you, and set all this up for you so that when your grid arrives, it will have a bag for each direction, and you can just lay them down and they will be ready for you to go. So if you don't feel comfortable, I'm happy to do that for you, but hopefully now you have the information you need to be able to do it for yourself. So I hope that's helpful. Have a great day.